Well, shalom, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kazoo Cruiser. It's April Fool's Day, 2013. That's 13_04_01. I'm not a date setter, but we're still here after Passover. It's beyond the first day of the week. We're now in Tuesday. And it's a day that ends in Y. Why? I don't know. It's just that way. And way has a Y in it too. So let's move on. I may do an auto movie of this, and I can always edit out the first couple portions. The screen stays the same. We'll listen to it and see. Now I'm watching the time. It's about 37. Yeah, we passed 36 and 6s and all that. So now we're in a little more sanitary world. I want to instruct some folks about the reason for the Feast of Unleavened Bread, or the command actually by a holy righteous creator to people he had redeemed from all of the idolatry and depravity of Egypt. Okay, now this is the church needing to pay attention here. Because why do you want to live with the world when you've been redeemed from it? Why do you want to go back and play with the alligators? Now if you look at this hygienic demonstration, there's a lot of dirt on the outside of this electrical film. This is the best that technology can offer us. And I'm just kind of sharing it around. You see it's a sink. It's got dirt on the outside, okay? Play with me, folks. This was eaten, okay? And everything was inside the plastic or inside the bubble. Okay, nothing had come in from the outside. Now remember, the enemy of mankind was already outside, and he couldn't come in. So what did he do? He spoke through some ignorance, and she just kind of went along with it. Now you think about that. These are easy to keep clean. If you never utilize it, guess what? You don't get any germs on it, and nothing else. But what we've got out there that's danced in at the first stage it had an opportunity to was a yeast something or other. What's that, you ask? It's a yeast infection. Could you hear that? Could you hear that? I heard that all the way over here. It got me over there for the purposes of talking about an undisclosed location where I'm at. Let me back this out again. You see, there's no dirt on here. I mean, it's all on the outside. Now, the first thing that little yeast did was opportunistic, okay? Eve got into sin, and then yeast infection got into her. Guess what? It's passed to every single one of us. So the idea is that we all have to collectively turn off that Christmas tree inside, and what that is a yeast infection, folks. It's like a conifer. It just what it does is just a three-legged little hydra. It floats around and picks up other dirt, so it becomes a secondary infection. And this is a yeast that's gotten some excess baggage, part of the fecal smear on it, and it just travels around, okay, because it doesn't care who it kills. So this is a war between the living and the yeast, which is trying to make us dead. And so I'm going to ask, that guy never cut through this again, but that's a yeast infection just passing through. And I want to explain this in more ways than I know how to at this point. So we're at 3:27, and we'll never get to 666, folks. We're in a new day, and it's a new week, second day of it. And I'm putting these videos out there in the hope that the menu gets, the dots get teased together. Now the fast of Israel, the fast of unleavened bread, remember Israel had to flee, and that was everybody, including Judah. That was Levi's little brother, by the way. Moses' last name was Levi. Ramesses, R-A-M / nothing, X / nothing, S-E-S, Ramses, Moses. Do you see it? They were commiserating about the decay and decadence. Basically, all his people were overcome with this yeast infection. And, you know, we see it all around us today in belligerency and everything else. That's the third stage pop-out, folks. They start coughing, and then it's like it's thrown on you. So it's dehydrated. It's competing with the same shell for the contents inside it, okay? Until we pipe water to this thing, in other words, until you're not dehydrated, there's no point in talking about this. You've got to drink twice as much water because that yeast is competing for the same water you're drinking. It's kind of an internal parasite, like a tapeworm, and it's competing for the same water that you would drink and feel full. So every glass of brine, basically iced tea or sugared coffee or anything, you have to hit 2 volume measures of just clean water, folks. And this is the problem, because people are dehydrating themselves externally, and yeast is consuming them like a fire internally. Now, you heard this correctly a few minutes ago. Yeast is an opportunistic infection, and the first thing she did after getting into sin was yeast got into her. And that's right, that's been passed around for generations. And now what are we seeing is these opportunistic diseases have now broken in beyond our ability, and here we are, okay, pretty porous on both sides, okay, and we breathe air, we all do, and if we've got that already that's busted through, then what are we going to have when the second wave of this thing's come across the globe, okay, at 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, whatever it is. We need to be aware of that, folks, because we need to stand this infection down collectively, because we're going to die individually if we don't. So the way you do this is you just knock the yeast out. That's unleavened bread replaced, okay? What you do is you find stuff that has sodium bicarbonate in it, okay? And you utilize that for your dough making needs for 10 days. What you're trying to do is starve the yeast of yeast buddies who are coming in from the outside, and they're fresh soldiers. So you have to quit supplying the lines of these yeast soldiers inside, okay? It's like feeding weapons into Syria. It's just going to cause more death amongst them, and the more yeast you have in you, guess what? The more death you have inside of you. So you have to wean yourself off, and that's no beer, that's no wine, and that's no, I don't know what they call those things, Pop-Tarts? Okay, you can replace them with popcorn, okay, with that secret ingredient we always talk about called cannabis. Okay, and I think I spelled it wrong. It's C-A-N-N-A-B-I-S. I don't care how it's spelled. I like how it makes me feel and how it inspires me to talk about other things. Now, this is 7 minutes and 7 seconds, okay? So I can tell the time, and I have a minute or so to talk about this. And this is an 8 minute short, folks. I wish somebody put some comments in, because it would help me know whether anybody's, besides watching it, I mean, they're going out all over the world. People are watching this, do they get it? And that's a big truck, okay? And that's another noisy vehicle, if you can hear it. At 7:44, okay, what time is it? You notice we're not talking about money. It shrinks in my world, folks. The only thing I use it for, I trade green for cannabis. Shalom, I'm out.